Kevin Stefanski feels like his job may be on the line.
Entire offensive line that Shedeur had last year that Shedeur just had in this game is gone. My bad for not showing y'all that. So that entire offensive line Shedeur had yesterday.
Concern myself with outside type of things. But I'm committed to his development, just like all of our rookies. So we'll continue to focus on getting our guys better. And that's what we'll stay committed to, and that's what's important to me.
Breaking news out of Cleveland. The entire offensive line that played with Shedeur Sanders in the last preseason game has been completely removed. With the criticism heating up, head coach Kevin Stefanski is now trying to justify the choices that caused Shedeur's ugly performance on the field. But is Stefanski cracking under pressure? Is he losing control or refusing to admit his mistakes? We'll break down the details of this move and what it really means for the future of the team. The Cleveland Browns are drowning in pressure from fans who believe the drama around Shedeur Sanders was entirely caused by a weak offensive line and terrible coaching choices. As a result, the Browns have been forced to cut every player connected to Shedeur's struggles. Even though Kevin Stefanski was the one pulling the strings, he now has to sit back and watch the chaos unfold. Fans are demanding his firing too, and it's obvious Stefanski is under fire with reports claiming he's finally starting to crack under the pressure. The real question now is how much longer Kevin Stefanski can survive as head coach. Browns insider TJ Houshmandzadeh has revealed that the mistreatment of Shedeur Sanders could end up costing Stefanski his job in Cleveland. And that possibility is starting to look very real. While there's still no official announcement about his firing, the pressure is building fast and Stefanski's situation is growing shakier by the day. The storm is closing in, and no one knows how much longer he can cling to the job.
Kevin Stefanski feels like his job may be on the line.
Coach Stefanski is clearly breaking under the pressure, and it's obvious the Browns are standing at a crossroads. In his latest defense, Stefanski didn't sound confident at all. His shaky voice showed just how real the heat is. He tried to excuse his decision by saying Snoop Huntley was thrown in during the last 2 minutes to get tuned up. But let's be real, Huntley was just an emergency pickup signed because of injuries. He was never part of the plan, and he's not likely making the roster. Yet Stefanski still yanked Shedeur to hand Huntley some snaps. His voice gave it away. He's rattled, and the whole situation is spiraling completely out of control.
And did you, I'm sure you kind of answered this last night, but why didn't you keep him in for the 2 minute, or why did you decide to take him out?
Yeah, nothing more than decided to give Snoop some work at the end of the game.
TJ Houshmandzadeh, a former Browns player, didn't hold back when blasting Kevin Stefanski's treatment of Shedeur Sanders. He said that in all his years around the team, he's never seen a coach so obviously uninterested in a player's success, even hinting that Stefanski might have a personal issue with Shedeur. TJ called the bias blatant and warned that if this is true, the Browns will be under even more pressure to cut ties with Stefanski. The spotlight is now burning hot on the coach, and both fans and insiders are demanding accountability. The pressure is eating Stefanski alive, and his body language makes it crystal clear. He looks like a man who knows his job is slipping away. TJ kept piling on, pointing out that this isn't the first time Shedeur Sanders has been treated this way. He reminded everyone that in the first preseason game, Shedeur played nearly perfect but got zero recognition or praise from Kevin Stefanski. And now, after the latest game, it feels like Stefanski is trying to dump all the blame on Shedeur, almost as if he's spinning the story that the coaches were right all along and Shedeur was the problem. TJ even went as far as to suggest that Shedeur was being set up to fail from the very start.
He played well the first game. He was so off-putting, like, oh yeah, well, we'll see what happens next. Like, he played great, man. He exceeded our expectations. He didn't say none of that. And so to me, it's as if they want him to fail so they can justify doing what they want to do.
TJ's breakdown couldn't be more spot on. Stefanski's bias was obvious from the very first preseason game. Even though Shedeur Sanders put on a performance that impressed everyone, Stefanski flat out ignored it. Instead of giving Shedeur credit, he hid behind vague comments about developing all the quarterbacks, completely dismissing Shedeur's standout play. It became crystal clear that Stefanski was never truly invested in Shedeur's success in Cleveland, and his actions proved it louder than any words could. Now the script has flipped, and all the pressure is locked directly on Stefanski. It's obvious Stefanski was trying to push Shedeur out of Cleveland. But now, in a twist of irony, it's Stefanski who's in serious jeopardy. The same coach who was once too stubborn to handle the situation fairly and who unfairly criticized Shedeur is now backpedaling, suddenly claiming he'll prioritize developing him. This dramatic shift in tone is proof that Stefanski is feeling the fire from fans and scrambling to save his own job. The once confident coach now looks desperate, trying to repair the very mess he created.
Concern myself with outside type of things. But I'm committed to his development, just like all of our rookies. So we'll continue to focus on getting our guys better. And that's what we'll stay committed to, and that's what's important to me.
It's not only the fans who are calling out Stefanski's decisions. Journalists and analysts are now piling on, turning up the heat even more. Usanu weighed in, pointing out that by throwing Shedeur Sanders into a lineup filled with offensive players who weren't even roster-worthy, Stefanski basically set him up to fail. Usanu made a strong case, arguing that even a legend like Tom Brady would have struggled under those same circumstances.
With COVID year, so it gave everybody an extra year if you wanted it.
Understandable. But listen, it's
what the chat said. The chat believe he took a shot or no?
Let me look in the chat. I ain't even open my phone. Hold on.
Akasinko also warned that it's only a matter of time before Browns-backed critics start labeling Shedeur Sanders a failure, writing him off as nothing more than a fifth-string quarterback. But he stressed that the real problem, the fact that Stefanski deliberately put Shedeur in a no-win situation, would likely be swept under the rug. Despite the growing outrage, Akasinko suggested this all looks like part of a bigger plan to drag Shedeur down. It's becoming clear that some people are more interested in tearing him apart than in exposing the true reasons behind his struggles. Usanu was absolutely right to say Shedeur was set up to fail, but he underestimated just how massive the backlash against Stefanski and the Browns has become. It's clear they won't be able to sweep this under the rug. Fans are demanding Stefanski's firing, openly calling out his obvious bias and discrimination toward Shedeur Sanders. The pressure is exploding, and it's getting harder by the day for the Browns to ignore. Change now feels inevitable as the situation spirals further out of control. In the end, the Cleveland Browns are clearly scrambling in response to the outrage over Shedeur Sanders' treatment. With both fans and analysts hammering Stefanski for his disastrous decision-making, the Browns are now making desperate moves, like cutting players, to try and justify that Shedeur Sanders never got a fair chance. The team is facing crushing pressure, not just from the public, but also from insiders like Akasinko, who exposed how Shedeur was set up to fail with a weak offensive line and no real support. Even though Stefanski once acted indifferent to Shedeur's potential, it's now obvious the coach is scrambling to save his job and twist the story in his favor. The sudden promise that Stefanski will now develop Shedeur is nothing more than proof that he feels the fire closing in. Fans are demanding answers, and the Browns seem to be scrambling with moves just to calm the outrage. The real question is whether these changes will convince anyone that Shedeur was never the problem, or if they'll simply be seen as a desperate attempt to clean up a disaster that was mishandled from the start. Either way, the pressure is boiling over, and the Browns' next steps will be critical in determining Shedeur's future in Cleveland. The Browns are in chaos, Stefanski is under fire, and Shedeur Sanders' future is on the line. This drama is far from over. Backhand index pointing right, don't miss what's next. Like, share, and subscribe to stay updated.